We live in the most beautiful place in Scotland, Melvaig, Wester Ross. Why would we want to leave for 6 months? Well, it isn't always beautiful, and after 6 Wester Ross winters, it was time for an adventure. Our preparation involved gear research and buying and sponsorship requests. We also had to ensure our family were looked after until eventually, in April of 2017, our journey began.
Here we are in San Diego and we've just done our first shop at Walmart. We're just getting ready for our first 8 days of trekking, and here is our trekking food.
The weight we carry on our backs is an issue. We decant all our food into Ziploc bags. We also post food and kit to post offices further down the remote sections of the Pacific Crest Trail. Plan A. Our goal? To walk from Mexico to Canada. We expect the big walk will take us approximately 5.5 months. So here we are at the southern terminus, and that is the border to Mexico, and these are all the people here who are actually about to start walking on the same day as us. And we were all kindly brought here by another trail angel called Mule Stomper. And yeah, we're ready to go, so let's go!
It's been a pretty long, hard day so far, and we've struggled along in the heat in the trail today. It's been a great first day though. We've just seen some sapsuckers on the telegraph poles. The savannah is amazing. It's a beautiful trip, but man, it's hard work. So we did about 16 miles yesterday, camped at Hawser Creek. There was a little creek running. It was very hot yesterday, so we broke camp early. We set off at 6 o'clock this morning. It's now just after 7 and it's already warming up. So we've got a fantastic day ahead of us. We're going to head to Lake Merino now, and then we're going to head off into the hills.
So here's my house husband making lunch on day 2, and I think we're having ramen for a change and some salami, which is absolutely awesome. And we've just had our second creek crossing, and our shoes are now drying in the sun along with our socks, which are skanky already, and we are under the interstate for shade because it's roasting out here. As elevations vary from sea level to 9,000 feet, we also hike through magnificent pine forests.
We're just coming off the plateau of Mount Laguna. We've walked through some fantastic conifer forest today, and tomorrow we head down into the desert, which is what you can see ahead of us now. Due to be over 100 in the desert tomorrow.
Southern California's PCT is predominantly high and low desert, and with 200% more rain this winter, we are blessed to walk through the desert's superbloom. We hike, and we hike, and we hike, counting down the miles, through the desert, through the prairie, up mountains, in the cold and in the heat. And I would walk 500 miles, and I would walk 500 more, just to be the woman who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. Because the 10-year drought is over, we walk through a green desert. Creeks are flowing where they haven't for a decade. And the wildlife is amazing too. Moths, hummingbirds, lizards, squirrels, deer, and Mr. Bear. We are never entirely alone.
We're just coming to the end of day 5 of the Big Brother trek, and it's been amazing. We've spent the day crossing the desert. The cactus, because it's the first rain in 5 years, have all been flowering. It's been a beautiful day. It's a 31-mile stretch without any potable water. We started out at the mountains yesterday. We've dropped down into the desert, crossed the desert, come back up to the mountains today. Now at 3,500 feet. As we crossed the road which runs through the valley, there was some trail magic because some people had left some water for us. So brilliant. But we've been carrying water for 18-20 miles today, so it's been pretty hard work. But without that trail magic, we'd really be struggling.
What other trail magic did we get?
Well, one of the guys was leaving the trail today, so he opened his bag and said, "Would you like any of this food?" And he had an 8-ounce chunk of cheddar cheese, which we ate in one sitting.
The first surprise is the wind. The PCT, which essentially walks along the western backbone of America, is surprisingly windy. Winds that at times threaten to blow us off the mountainside. You going to move? Wee fella.
Welcome to Eagle Rock. We've just been crossing the plains on Canada Verde on the way to Warner Springs for our rest day, and this is a beautiful spot, but it's a bit dreich today. Well, it's not dreich, but it's cold and it's windy, so it is just like Scotland today.
It's the end of day 8 on the TCP trek. We've just walked from Warner Springs up onto the High Chaparral. We've gone from about 3,000 feet to about 5,500 feet today, so it's been a long haul, 18 miles. It's been pretty hot, although when we left this morning it was literally freezing with mist in the valleys.
I have my gloves on.
So we've been through a whole range of temperatures today. It's pretty warm now, pretty knackered.
Along with the wind, the heat in the desert takes a lot of getting used to. We have to carry all our water, filtering it as we go along. Okay, so that's the colour of the water at the start. And then we've got the wee filter system here. See how minging that looks? And then it comes all the way down there, and it's beautiful drinking water. Sometimes we have to carry up to 5 litres of water each. We plan our evening campsites to be close to a water source or cache, if at all possible. Day 9, and we have had a hot day, but now it's got a cloudy day. We are now at a wonderful campsite with big boulders and sandy beaches. We had a wonderful valley of birds where Corey was really happy, and so was I. And then we had a wonderful valley with butterflies, and we rested under this big tree, and everybody came around this tree because it was the only tree with shade, and we watched hummingbirds fly above us again, and it was beautiful. And now I'm trying to get the filth off my face.
So we're getting up to about 8,500 feet in altitude. We're going to get to about 9,000 feet, highest point today. We're starting to hit the snow, so this is the first snow crossing we've had. There is some more to come.
Cracking lips.
Because of the sunshine.
Cracking lips. It was very hot today. We drank like litres and litres and litres and litres of fluid, and we still didn't get to the toilet.
When you went to the toilet, what happened?
We had dribble.
We wild camp along the trail, enjoying amazing night skies, where the Milky Way is clearly visible. We aim to be on the trail by 6 a.m. in the morning, walking for 2 hours before we have breakfast, taking advantage of the cool, sometimes freezing morning temperatures. Despite being fried during the day, I often end up sleeping with my down jacket at night. We start giving the PCT new names, and one of our favourites is the Pacific Crest Trail. So many sections of the trail have been wiped out by wildfires. These sections are very sad to walk through. Sad because of the black skeletons of the once magnificent trees. And also, there's no shelter from the strong sunshine. There is no life, no birds calling, no ant superhighways to watch underfoot, no lizards doing their morning press-ups. Also, the trail itself. At the best of times, a soft 30cm wiggly line connecting Mexico to Canada. This turns into a dusty route, the width of a ribbon, where there are no wonderful tree and brush roots to hold the mountainsides together. We walk along sections of the trail where the earth and the sand tumble down for thousands of feet. I daren't look anywhere other than where my next footstep will be. We develop single-track minds. Well, to be fair, I develop a 3-track mind. Where is the next water source? When's the next food? And personal hygiene. We stink to high heaven. On the trail we eat ramen, our equivalent is super noodles, and Idaho potatoes, which is our smash. If we've just left town, we might have granola and powdered milk, tortillas and cheese. but we have to eat heavy, tasty treats on day one back on the trail. Otherwise, they're too heavy to carry and they are so much easier to carry in our tummies. Despite our amazing appetites, we start to look less lardy. Our tummies shrink and we can eat as much rubbish as we want. What we start to crave is fresh food. Salad, vegetables, hot finger-licking chicken, meat, food with a crunch. We can inhale a family bag of crisps each. How many McMuffins did you have for breakfast? How many packets of crisps have you had since then? When we do hit a town to resupply, the first stop after a pit stop, the luxury of a sit-down loo and the need to wash 7 days of dirt off my hands and face. Well, the next stop is breakfast. We discover what real home-style hash browns taste like, and a new addiction is born. And what about burger for breakfast with a salad on the side? The Mexican food in Southern California is the food of my dreams. Hiking the PCT would not be possible without the amazing support of the people who live along the trail. Often former PCT hikers, but just as often thoroughly lovely, kind people. New words for our vocabulary are trail angels and trail magic. As despite record-breaking rain and snowfall, there are sections of the trail where there is absolutely no water. Selfless trail angels cart out gallons and gallons of water to sections of the trail, perhaps where it crosses an old mining track, and leave water caches. This water saves lives. Not only that, there are often chairs set up in the shade, perhaps a cooler with beers, or even better, a crunchy apple. Trail magic is so unexpected. You will have been walking for 15 miles and not seen another living soul. And then, in the middle of nowhere, is a dumpster. Stuffed with cookies, soda, a sofa, an emergency cotton bud. Yes, a cotton bud. This turns into a luxury item. Imagine 2 weeks of potatoes growing out of your ears. There might also be a bin. PCT hikers aim to leave no trace. Pack it in and pack it out. It is great to unload some of our rubbish and lighten our loads by a few grams. Picnic benches, plastic chairs, sofas, all items left but attended by strangers. These trail angels, leaving a little bit of magic, a little bit of kindness.
So we're back on trail today. We've had a 0 day or a day off in Big Bear Lake yesterday. It's walking today 5,000 to 6,000 meters, 6,000 feet high, undulating between some lovely wooded hills. The weather is due to change today. It's a beautiful temperature for walking at the moment, but we're told there's a front coming through from the coast and the weather is going to get to below freezing tonight, with the potential for 4 or 5 inches of snow tomorrow above that 5,000 feet. We're just looking up in the sky at the moment to see the first cirrus clouds building, so there's a front starting to build which will come in this afternoon. It's been about 2 or 3 hours since we last spoke, and in that time the weather bomb has arrived. The clouds have come right down, it's starting to drizzle, and in the last 20 minutes the wind's got up. It's about 40 miles an hour. It's dropped from about 20-25 degrees to about 5 degrees just in half an hour. So the weather bomb has arrived. We're just setting up camp now, because this is it for the day. We're going to stay nice and dry and cozy and warm, and we'll see how much snow arrives tonight and decide what we're going to do tomorrow morning. So it's just after midnight and the weather bomb has finally arrived. I think it's been snowing quite a lot, so we've done a quick look outside. And there it is. We have winter where there was desert. It's morning and the snow is here. Fortunately not too much snow, and just a little bit more than there was last night. We're now in a weather interlude. We've got about 4 hours before it snows again, so we're going to pack the tent down and try and get to some lower ground.
The PCT is full of surprises. After walking through a desert covered with snow, with poor little hummingbirds puffed up and freezing on cactus branches, there are hot springs right on the trail. A word of caution. It's probably a health hazard to enter a hot spring after 5 grubby PCT hikers. Be warned. Towns, of course, are rarely on the PCT itself. In order to pick up packages or buy resupplies, we need to go off-trail, which can be, for example, a 15-mile hitch into a town. Sometimes we aim to be in and out of the town in one day, but sometimes we take a 0 day, which means 0 miles. We hire a cheap motel, have 3 showers each, using all the free toiletries that you never normally know what to do with, and eating our body weight in food. Another surprise on the PCT, however, is the legendary McDonald's. The PCT goes under the old wagon train road, Route 66, which is now beside a super-fast highway. At this intersection, a 1-mile detour, there is a McDonald's. We walk and walk and walk, with thoughts of sugary milkshakes, fries and dollar menus. We have discovered that $5 of burgers from the dollar menu is a lot more satisfying than any posh burgers.
We've arrived at a very significant place on the PCT. This is the Golden Spike. This is the place in 1993 that joined the southern and the northern terminus of the PCT together, and this is the commemorative cairn.
The record snowfall in the Sierra is always on our minds. As we walk closer and closer to the real snow, we are constantly consulting the class of 2017's Facebook page for the latest updates, as well as the official PCT webpage. With record-breaking snowfall, we know this section is going to be a challenge. Our life consists of eating, sleeping, hiking, and occasionally we will hitch into town to get some resupplies. And for the record, the Edinburgh t-shirt helps. With the constant physical demands on our bodies, things start to hurt. This is Corrie's minging heel, and actually it's healing. Ho 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 ho! Yesterday we were in Wrightwood, which was lovely. We had a lovely morning. We got food, we got spoiled by the people of Wrightwood. Then we hitched out of town and we had to decide whether we were going up the mountain or not. We were advised not to go up the mountain because it was really snowy and icy and we don't have spikes, and so we took the alternative route, which was down the Manzanita trail. Then we saw the nude gnome. There's a nude gnome on the trail. It was a real person, and that was quite freaky. And anyway, we went down to South Fork. There was no Ewings there. My feet were absolutely destroyed because we'd have had thousands of feet of descent, and when I took off my shoes I had about 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 blisters, and then I cried and Corrie had to look after me. But despite the physical demands on our bodies, we keep hiking north. It's 20 to 8, it's our longest day ever. 27 miles across the desert. We're absolutely shattered. So we had 16 miles without water across the desert, and we were walking to here, which is a water tank. Hallelujah. And so now we're in this big wind farm. And the sun just went down over the mountains. Corrie, an experienced international mountain leader, is really looking forward to the Sierra. Mandy, a fair weather hiker, is not. Along with advice from our American friends and satellite images of the snow blanket, we can see that the snow has not melted sufficiently. Therefore, we decide to take 3 weeks off the trail to allow the snow some time to melt. 3 weeks later, Plan B is hatched. Conditions have not improved sufficiently for me to attempt the High Sierra section, I am neither competent, confident or keen. Corey, however, cannot wait to get out into the big mountains. Corey will hike the High Sierra section and we will then meet up in 2 weeks' time and resume hiking north to Canada together.
Hi, so it's day one in the High Sierra. So Mandy and I have had a couple of weeks off sightseeing and touring and generally enjoying ourselves. So we've been off trail for a while. Today I came back on trail for 2 weeks to walk through the High Sierra, through the snow and river crossings and see how it goes. Heading up for Mammoth. Start today at where did we start today? At Kennedy Meadows. That's where we were. So I've walked about 8-9 miles from Kennedy Meadows this afternoon. Set off 6 o'clock this morning from Bakersfield on the bus. Got to Lake Isabella and essentially had 5 hours of hitchhiking to get into the start point today. So it's a pretty long day. I'm going to set up camp now. Bear vault is handy, so all the food's in the bear vault, well nearly all the food's in the bear vault. I'm going to eat the rest before supper time. So it's the biggest pack I've carried all trip so far. Don't know how much it weighs, but I've got 12 days food, the bear vault which weighs about 1.5 kilos, my snowshoes and winter kit, so it's pretty hefty. So I've not done much today, just getting back into the swing of it, but yeah, much longer day tomorrow. Temperatures this afternoon were just over 90 degrees Fahrenheit, so it was pretty steamy. So I'm going to head down to the stream, have a wash, have a drink and set up camp, and let's see what happens tomorrow. Good morning, it's 7 o'clock. I've been up since 5. It's a couple of hours trekking at the start of day 2 of the High Sierra trek. It's been uphill all the way, as you'd expect, because we're heading up the mountains. I don't know if you can see the burnt area we're in. So I think today is just a plod general upward direction from about 6,000 to 9,000 feet, lots of undulations. Hoping to do about 20 miles today. The sack is quite heavy, so we'll see how we go. This is the South Fork of the Kern River. So just done our first river crossing. Not too treacherous actually, quite deep, but not too bad. Didn't get too wet. Luckily, well, I don't know, luckily it looks like the water's been dropping. Little sandbanks appearing, but there's much more to come in the next few days. Settled in the tent, end of day 2. A few mosquitoes today, a bit of sun. 10,000 foot plus pass, about 3,000 metres, hard work, about 20 miles. So a good day all in all. I'm knackered. It got into camp about 5. I'm going to bed early. Got a big day tomorrow. So good night. This is day 3 of the High Sierras. I've just reached Cottonwood Pass. It took me 19 miles to get here, walking with the bag, and only been across little patches of snow so far. 11,500 feet here now, whatever that converts to, 3,000 odd metres. So definitely getting a bit snowier, but still not too bad. It's the end of day 3, and this is the campsite for tonight. Believe it or not, it's called Chicken Lake Outlet. The outlet's flowing quite nicely. Had a quick wash. Some lovely quarry basin above, and a bit more snow now. So tomorrow we're going to see some more snow. And that's the view from the tent tonight. So that was the first river crossing for real. I'm not sure how much you can see, but down there is where we're supposed to cross, and it will just be a nightmare. So it's about half a mile downstream actually. So I came up and the river braids into 3 here. So I managed to get across the first 2,
and then just followed below the log took all the pressure out of the water to get across, but even so it was thigh depth on each of those 3 crossings. So again, this looks easy enough to cross until you step into the water and you realise that it's thigh to waist deep. Even using the protection of the boulder, the current's pretty impressive. And of course, the PCT hikers were wearing our packs with all of our food, tents, camping gear, and of course our bear boxes. So these creeks are quite challenging. Would you cross here? Just watch someone get into the water just next to me. Just with this log here is crazy. Nice strainer, and the water is over 5 feet deep. But pretty soon came out again. Well, look where we are now. So we're just at this crossroads. It's the end of day 4 on the High Sierra trek. Rock Creek was where that interesting crossing. Forest Pass is not tomorrow but the day after, hopefully, if I can make it that far. And then tomorrow we're going to be heading for Mount Whitney, the highest point in the southern 48, over 14,000 feet, whatever that converts to. Can't really see much because we're in the trees here, but you can see there's a bit more snow up here, a bit more snow plodding, crossing today, interesting wading, and quite challenging hard work. Camping tonight, we're just over here, so I'll just set up a little camp in between the trees, and it'll be an early start in the morning to head off to Mount Whitney. It's the morning of day 6 of the High Sierra Trail, and today hopefully is Forest Pass. Well, I'm not sure what the snow's like, but we're setting off now. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, good morning again. Just tried to walk around a patch of snow, icy snow, so I didn't slip on it. Low hanging tree branch caught me right across the forehead, so it looks quite spectacular. Yeah, it looks quite spectacular. I'm going to give it a bit of a clean, so let's see what it looks like in a second. There you go, not so bad once it's cleaned up. Great, well done, Corey. Well, it's been quite a morning, as well as having a trip in a slip. We just had a neat thigh deep crossing here, not fun. So yeah, it's quite entertaining this morning. A lot of the snow patches have been beglassed because it rained early last night. I guess that's frozen on the snow, and until the sun gets on it, it's really icy today. Well, I guess that's it. I've had interesting river crossings, so I've decided that as a solo PCTer, interesting river crossings ain't for me. So I'm going to backtrack and head off the trail out of the High Sierras and jump this little bit of trail, meet up with Mandy, and go on a bit further. So good luck to those people who are going through as teams. Hopefully they'll have a better time, but I've just had too many interesting crossings now, and I'm going to bail.
We are now on Plan C. Having walked 650 and 750 miles respectively of the PCT, Corey comes off the High Sierra section of the PCT. At least 6 hikers are known to have died on the PCT by July 2017. 2 known drownings and 2 known falls. Until 2017, deaths on the PCT averaged approximately 1 every 10 to 15 years. Of course, there are no statistics for the near-death experiences and broken bones. We aim to get back onto the PCT when conditions improve, but until then, we decide to keep heading north. But this time we head to the coast and a different sort of trail. Wishing to stay true to our original intention, we want to hike south to north. Thus we begin the Oregon Coast Trail at Brookings in the south, ignoring all the guidance about the summer northeasterly winds. I mean, just how bad could the winds be?
So here we are in Harris State Park. We arrived yesterday evening, PCT refugees.
The sudden influx of hikers on Oregon's coastline leads to articles in the press, where we are dubbed PCT refugees. We encounter scores of other PCT refugees who sensibly follow the advice to walk north to south.
So this is where we're camping tonight at the end of day one. It's a beautiful little spot on the Oregon Coast Trail.
Oregon's coastline is pristine. The Oregon state owns the beaches. The beaches were preserved for the citizens and were used as the road system before the highways were built. After 6 days of walking north, I have a tantrum. 6 days of being sandblasted, pushed back to California with the wild winds. Despite now looking 10 years younger, we decide to follow the advice which we originally ignored. Hello, Plan D. We come off the trail and head up to Astoria and the Columbia River, the traditional start of the Oregon Coast Trail. If there is one thing that we are learning about this adventure, is that plans are meant to be broken. We have had to bend and flex with the situations we are confronted with. We are both very disappointed to be off the Pacific Crest Trail until we realise that we have no one to answer to, and the only person judging us is ourselves. We decide to embrace the opportunities we now have. When we arrive in Astoria, I become a Goonie geek for a day, paying homage to my childhood heroes, the Goonies. We also spend 2 days steeped in the history of Lewis and Clark. We visit Fort Clatsop, where Lewis and Clark overwintered, and the salt works at Seaside, where the men went to extract salt.
Where are we today, Mandy?
Sorry?
Where are we today?
We're on the Lewis and Clark River, also called the North West River.
What are we doing? In the footsteps of
Lewis and Clark.
So today we're in Ecola State Park and we're on the cliffs overlooking the ocean, and they've got a little cabin park here which is quite unique for the Oregon Coast Trail, but we are still in the footsteps of the great explorers, because they took this path to negotiate with the Native Americans to try and get some whale blubber because a whale had been washed ashore.
The Oregon Coast Trail is a joy on many fronts. We don't wild camp very often. The state provide hiker-biker campsites for a reasonable price. No need to filter water, there are taps. We can shower, sit down on a loo, and in some camps there are even USB chargers in the lockers. Means that we're getting pushed along and not getting battered with sand. We walk south, joining up the little dotted line we have been tracing, now with the northeasterly helping us along.
So welcome to Oregon. We're going to do some real food cooking. We've got these mussels from the beach. Now if we're really lucky, in Scotland where we live we'll get mussels that big. But here, we're getting them up to this big. Now, who said Fukushima didn't have an effect on America's northwest Pacific coast?
Creek crossings still prove a challenge, but the solutions are less life-threatening.
What do you think is the defining factor of why a hiker-biker campsite is chosen?
Well, I think when they design the campsite, they pick out all the nice flat areas and they give them to the RVs. And the areas that are left that are in the shade, under the trees, on a slope with lots of tree roots and no flat ground, they give to the hiker-bikers because no can't fit any other vehicles on it.
That was the cleaned up version. What did you say earlier?
Can't remember.
You said they give all the shite to the hiker-bikers.
Well, take a look, spin round, look around. Where's the flat bits? Yeah.
Oh, I did a poop on the tent. What came to our tent last night and made a mess?
A deer urinated on our tent poles. The urine ran under the tent and soaked into my air mattress.
And what was the name of that deer?
Mandy Elizabeth Deerish.
Here we are on the Oregon Coast Trail, and I don't see the coast, but I do see the one old farm. So it's quite a lot of walking on the road to get to the next bit of headland or woodland or beach, and it's horrible.
We hitched some sections of the trail to avoid walks on the Highway 101. We walked for a month, 390 miles of the beautiful Oregon coastline, planning to get back onto the PCT.
So welcome to Hobbit Beach. This is our last day on the Oregon Coast Trail. So Hobbit Beach is our last beach, so we're about to leave the beach. We're going to head up onto the headland, Hobbit Headland, and reputedly this is where Bilbo Baggins came on one of his adventures. And then that will be the end of our walking trail. We'll have walked south from Brookings up to Coos Bay, and we've walked north from Astoria down to Florence, so we pretty much joined them up in the middle. And so 400 miles of the Oregon Coast Trail. What a great few days it's been.
As Rabbie would say, the best laid plans of mice and men. Wildfires now rage in Oregon and Washington's PCT. Hundreds of PCT hikers get trapped in wildfire incidents and have to be evacuated. We debate getting back onto the trail, once more paying close attention to reports on Facebook and the news. After a lot of soul searching, we decide to write a list of things we would love to do and just set about doing them. Plan E is formed after solar eclipse sunbathing and a trip to Yellowstone to see Yogi and wolves. We travel to British Columbia and the gorgeous Sunshine Coast. We hire a canoe and set off for a week of perfect paddling on the Powell Forest Canoe Trail.
Hello again. So here we are at the side of Powell Lake. We've travelled from Vancouver, British Columbia, 5 hours north in a bus and 2 ferry rides to get to Powell River. And this is the start of our 6-day canoe adventure.
I really hope that we see some bear when we're on the water. That'd be magic. They asked about moose. They think that the moose are up high on the mountains. They think the grizzly are up high in the mountains, but we've got a good chance of black bear and elk. Bring it on.
It's not the bears you have to worry about, it's the snakes.
Idyllic days in the drowsy heat of the summer with wonderful wildlife all around us. We see otter, frogs, snakes, osprey. It's amazing.
I don't know which one I fancy most. Probably the one that's looking at me, the other one's just got his bottom to me.
The Sunshine Coast is aptly named, and the water, after a hot day of paddling, is gorgeous. Warm enough to be inviting and cool enough to refresh.
We've arrived at our first campsite on the Powell River Canoe Trail. And this one is called Pearl Lake. It's got a little trail register. It's got things so that you can keep the beach clean. It's in the middle of another area where the trees were all cut down when it was flooded. And there's this nice little seating area here. So this morning we started here just outside Powell River. We paddled up, had a break, paddled round, and this is our campsite tonight. Then in the morning we're going to paddle up here, up through the strait onto Goat Lake, and then we've got a portage. So we're going to go over this area here. It's called the Hump, and that's going to be camp for tonight, or day number 2's campsite. So we're still on Powell Lake. It's still early morning, it's about 9:30. These are some of the floating houses that line the lake. And we're now heading towards the Narrows to get to Goat Lake. And it's been a beautiful morning. And we've seen some Pacific loon. A couple of people have said good morning and not a lot else. How was your day, Corey?
Lovely.
What did you do?
Had a wee paddle and had a wee portage.
What are you doing, Mandy?
We're filtering water. Ta-da!
We are spoilt with pit toilets nearly every night, and although we have to filter water, at least it's plentiful. The temperatures are in the high 20s or 30s. We paddle, we swim, we portage, and we rest.
It's the morning of day 3 and we're about to head off and paddle across Windsor Lake as we start heading south on the Powell River basin.
We cannot believe how blessed we are. Some of us have to work, however.
Windsor Lake to Dod Lake, portage 1.
Our canoe weighs 70 pounds. We carry over rucksacks, paddles and buoyancy aids to recce the route, and then I supervise Corey as he portages the canoe.
Down a bit, down a bit.
The longest portage is up and over the Hump, 2.4 kilometres of hot and sticky climb. After surviving this portage from hell, all the others are a walk in the park for Corey.
Okay. Let me see you sweating.
No.
Nothing to my strong man. We've awoken again in paradise. We're at Horseshoe Lake South. And we've walked the bags over to Lois Lake. And we're about to portage the canoe down there as well. Another Swallows and Amazons day.
After a week on the canoe trail, our adventures come to an end. What have we learned from 5.5 months of travelling from Mexico to Canada? It's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Tell the difference between margarine and butter. Chewing without starting to start. Can't understand why we let someone else rule our land. Cap in hand. Go from being in a fight. No, it's easy when day turns to night. Why like so lowly? They can save a lot of points by signing heads goalie. Can't understand why we let someone else rule our land. Cap in hand. We fight when they ask us. We boast, then we cower. For a piece of what's already ours. We fight when they ask us. We boast, then we cower. We beg for a piece of what's already